October 1975, a small industrial town in northeast China where the Cultural Revolution's shadow lingers. Emily Sanders, 19, awakens to a second chance at life, her past mistakes vivid in her mind. The air was thick with the scent of coal dust and morning dew as I jolted upright in my narrow bed, heart hammering against my ribs. With its faded floral wallpaper and creaky wooden floor, my bedroom was exactly as I remembered from 1975, yet everything felt wrong. Memories from another life, a life I'd lived and lost, crashed over me like a relentless tide, each one sharper than the last. I was Emily Sanders, reborn, standing at the precipice of my youth with a chance to rewrite my fate. In that other life, I'd been the only daughter of George Sanders, director of the town's machinery factory, a man respected but burdened by his role in a nation gripped by Mao's Cultural Revolution. Back then, China sent millions of urban youths to the countryside for re-education through labor, a policy meant to temper their bourgeois ways. Jason Carter was one of them, a city student with a delicate face and honeyed words assigned to our town's youth outpost. I'd fallen for him, hard and foolish at 19. His promises of love felt like salvation in a world of slogans and struggle sessions. I gave him everything. Rare medicinal herbs my father had guarded for years, meant for his supposed illness, money I borrowed in secret to fund his studies, even my heart, which he trampled without a backward glance. Jason used my devotion to climb out of the countryside. In 1977, when the National College entrance exam returned after a decade's pause, he secured a city transfer through merit and betrayal. He got engaged to the daughter of a government official, a woman whose connections guaranteed his escape. I was left behind, my reputation shredded by gossip that painted me as a lovesick fool. The factory director's daughter, throwing herself at an educated youth, they whispered. My father humiliated and confined me to our house for 6 months. I missed the exams, my dreams of college dissolving into a lifetime as an ordinary factory worker, and my days a blur of regret until age and illness claimed me. Now, reborn in October 1975, I stood before my cracked bedroom mirror, my reflection a stranger's, youthful, unscarred, yet haunted by those memories. How had this happened? A faint echo stirred in my mind. My dying wish in that past life, a desperate plea for a second chance, whispered to the void. Something, fate, a deity, or sheer will, had answered. Tears welled as I touched my face, the weight of that lost life pressing down. I'd been naive, trusting Jason's lies and ignoring my parents' warnings. The pain of his betrayal, the shame of those rumors, burned fresh. But this time, I vowed, I'd be different. No more mistakes, I whispered, clenching my fists. I'll make them proud. Emily! Emily, come out quick! My mother's voice, sharp with worry, cut through the morning quiet. With her gentle eyes and fierce love, Sharon Sanders was calling from the living room. I took a deep breath, smoothing my cotton dress, and stepped out. The house smelled tobacco and steamed buns, grounding me in this reborn reality. My father sat in his worn armchair, a cigarette smoldering between his fingers, his brow furrowed like a plowed field. George was a man of few words, his authority earned through years at the factory, but his love for me ran deep, even when I'd tested it. Sharon paced, her apron askew, her face pale. You little thing, where were you last night? She said, rushing to grab my hand. Jason Carter came by again. Do you know what people are saying? My heart skipped. Jason Carter. His name alone summoned a storm of anger and resolve. In my past life, October 1975 was when I'd been at my most foolish, dazzled by his charm as he spun tales of love by the river. Now I saw him for what he was, a schemer using my status to escape the countryside. What did he want? I asked, keeping my voice steady, though my pulse raced. George crushed his cigarette, eyes narrowing. Someone saw you two by the river last night. The whole factory's talking, Emily. Sharon's grip tightened. You're a young lady. If this gets out, your reputation... I lowered my eyes, shame flickering. Not for the gossip, but for the girl I'd been blind to Jason's game. Yet, beneath that shame, a fire kindled. This was my chance to break free, protect my family, and seize the future I'd lost. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, I said softly, meeting their gazes. I won't let it happen again. I want to make things right. Their surprise was palpable. George's stern mask softened, and Sharon's worry eased. I was no longer the defiant girl who'd fought for a boy unworthy of her. This time, I'd fight for myself. Meaning, establishes the rebirth premise, weaving historical context and emotional depth to set up Emily's redemption arc. Dramatic appeal, the shock of rebirth, vivid betrayal memories, and Emily's resolute vow create intrigue, drawing readers into her transformative journey. October 1975, in the Sanders' modest home in a northeast China factory town. Emily faces her parents' concern, a painful echo of her past life's mistakes, and vows to forge a new path. The living room was dim, lit by a single bulb casting shadows on the peeling paint. My father, George Sanders, sat rigid in his worn armchair, the air heavy with the acrid bite of his cigarette. His face, weathered from years of steering the machinery factory through the Cultural Revolution's chaos, was a map of worry and resolve. My mother, Sharon, paced near the window, her apron twisted in her nervous hands, her gentle eyes clouded with fear. "Emily, you little thing," she said, trembling as she grabbed my hand. "Where were you last night? Are you sneaking off with that Jason Carter boy again? Do you know what people are saying?" Her words hit like a stone, dragging me back to my past life when I'd been blind to the consequences of my choices. In that other life, I'd been a fool for Jason Carter, an educated youth sent to our town to labor in the fields, part of Mao's campaign to reform city students. His smooth talk and city-bred charm had dazzled me, a factory director's daughter craving something beyond the factory's hum. I'd met him by the river countless times, believing his whispers of love, oblivious to his ambition to escape the countryside. Each meeting fueled gossip that shredded my reputation, leaving my parents humiliated. I'd argued fiercely for him, defiance burning away reason, until his betrayal, abandoning me for a government official's daughter, left me broken. Now, reborn in 1975, I stood in this familiar room, the weight of those memories pressing against my chest. George crushed his cigarette into the ashtray, his eyes piercing. "Someone saw you two by the river last night, Emily. The whole factory's talking. They say you're throwing yourself at an educated youth." His voice was low, but its disappointment cut deeper than any shout. "In my past life," I'd screamed back, insisting Jason was my future, blind to how he'd used my family's status. Last night, though, I'd only met him briefly, lured by a note claiming he needed to talk about his sick mother. It was a lie, I realized now, a calculated move to be seen with me, to spark the scandal he'd wield like a weapon. Shame burned my cheeks, not for the gossip, but for how close I'd come to repeating my old mistakes. I lowered my eyes, steadying my breath. The girl I'd been would have lashed out, but the woman I was becoming knew better. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry," I said softly, lifting my gaze to meet theirs. "I was wrong to meet him. It won't happen again." Sharon blinked, her grip loosening, surprise softening her worry. George leaned forward, brow furrowing. "Are you admitting fault? Have you thought this through?" I'd never backed down in my past life, my temper flaring at their warnings. Their shock mirrored my resolve, a quiet strength born from lessons hard learned. "I have," I nodded, stepping closer to George. I touched his calloused hand, a gesture I'd rarely dared before. "I've been stubborn, making you both worry. Jason's just an educated youth, sent here to labor, not build a life. I'm the factory director's daughter. We're not suited. I see that now." My voice was steady, but inside my heart ached. Saying it aloud felt like severing a part of myself, the naive girl who'd loved Jason. Yet it also freed me, clearing space for a new dream. "Dad, Mom, I want to make you proud. When they return, I want to study and prepare for the college entrance exams." Sharon's eyes widened, a tentative smile breaking through. "Study? You mean it, Emily?" She'd always dreamed I'd rise above the factory's confines, but my past defiance had dimmed that hope. George's stern mask cracked a flicker of pride in his gaze. "The exams haven't been reinstated yet," he said, voice gruff but curious. "Are you sure about this?" I nodded, my resolve hardening. "I've heard rumors they'll return by 1977. I want to be ready. I don't want to be just a factory worker, Dad. I want a future in economics to help China grow." In 1975, China was stirring, and the Cultural Revolution's grip was loosening. Whispers of reform and college exams floated through the factory, a faint promise of change. I'd learned in my past life that economics would shape the nation's future, a field poised to thrive as China opened to the world. George rubbed his chin, the cigarette's ember forgotten. Economics, huh? That's ambitious for a girl. His tone held no malice, only the caution of a man who'd seen dreams crushed by politics. Sharon stepped closer, her warmth enveloping me. If you're serious, we'll support you, Emily, but you'll need to work hard. I will, I promised, my voice firm. The weight of my past regrets, missing those exams and settling for a routine life, fueled me. But beneath my resolve, a quiet fear lingered. Could I outrun the gossip, the pull of old habits? I pushed the thought aside, focusing on my parents' faces. George's pride, Sharon's hope. They were my anchor. I've been foolish, I said, my throat tight. I want to be someone you're proud of, not a girl chasing a boy who doesn't deserve her. Sharon hugged me, her embrace fierce yet tender. You're growing up, Emily. We've always believed in you. George cleared his throat, and his eyes showed a rare softness. You stick to that, and I'll get you whatever books you need. But stay away from that Carter boy. There's something off about him. His instincts, honed by years navigating factory politics, were sharp. I nodded, a chill running through me. Jason wasn't done with me. I knew his type, his ambition cloaked in charm. But this time I was ready to face him, armed with the clarity of a second chance. Meaning, highlights family dynamics and Emily's shift from defiance to maturity, setting the stage for her academic ambition. Dramatic appeal. The tense confrontation, Emily's unexpected humility, and her bold declaration of intent create a pivotal moment, engaging readers with her transformation. October 1975, Sanders's home was in a factory town in northeast China. Jason Carter, an educated youth, tests Emily's newfound strength with a manipulative proposal, igniting a battle of wills. The morning sun barely pierced the coal dust haze as I sat at the kitchen table, my math textbook open but untouched. My parents' words from yesterday echoed, George's gruff warning about Jason Carter, Sharon's hopeful embrace. I'd ignored their instincts in my past life, dazzled by Jason's city-bred charm. Now, reborn with the clarity of betrayal, I saw him for what he was, a schemer using the Cultural Revolution's upheaval to claw his way back to the city. The educated youth policy, meant to reform urban students through rural labor, had stranded him here, and I was his ticket out. My stomach churned at the memory of his lies. Promises of love by the river, each one a step toward my ruin. I'd given him my father's precious herbs and borrowed money, only to be discarded for a government official's daughter. The shame of that gossip still stung, but it fueled my resolve. I wouldn't falter again. A sharp knock broke my thoughts. Mr. Sanders, it's Jason Carter. His voice, smooth yet edged with nerves, sent a chill down my spine. Sharon froze, her hands pausing over the dough she was kneading. Reading the factory's production reports in his armchair, George set them down, his face hardening like forged steel. Let him in, he said, voice low but commanding. Some things need settling. Sharon glanced at me, worry creasing her brow, but I nodded, steadying myself. This was the moment I dreaded yet prepared for, a chance to face the man who'd destroyed me in another life. The door creaked open and Jason stepped inside, his faded Mao suit pressed to perfection, dark hair neatly combed. At 22, he carried the polished air of a city student, a stark contrast to our town's calloused farmers and factory workers. His eyes, calculating beneath a mask of sincerity, flicked to me, and a practiced smile curved his lips. Mr. Sanders, Mrs. Sanders, sorry to bother you, he said, bowing slightly. I'm here to apologize for last night. His gaze settled on me, softening as he said, Emily. That tone would have melted my heart in my past life, conjuring dreams of a shared future. It made my skin crawl, and each syllable was a calculated note of his performance. George stood, towering over Jason, his authority honed by years of managing the factory's workforce. What are you here for, Carter? He asked, voice cold as the October wind. Sharon moved to my side, her hand brushing mine, a silent anchor. Jason took a deep breath, striking a pose of courage, though I caught the slight tremor in his hands. Mr. Sanders, I know last night's incident by the river has damaged Emily's reputation. I want to take responsibility. He paused, eyes locking onto mine. I want to marry her. The room seemed to be still, the words hanging like a noose. Sharon gasped, her hand tightening on mine. George's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing, waiting. I'd have wept at such a proposal in my past life, mistaking it for honor. Now I saw the trap. Jason had orchestrated our river meeting to be seen, sparking gossip to pressure my family. Marriage to the factory director's daughter would secure his transfer, his escape from the countryside's grind. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with fierce clarity. I wouldn't be his pawn again. "Who said I love you, Jason?" My voice cut through the silence, sharp and icy. His smile faltered, a flash of panic in his eyes. "You invited me to the river, claiming your mother was ill. I believed you, like a fool, thinking you wanted help. But you planned it, didn't you? To create a scandal, to force me into this." Sharon's breath caught, her eyes darting between us. George's face darkened, a storm brewing. Jason recovered quickly, his voice softening. "Emily, don't misunderstand. The town's talking. Everyone knows we were seen. I'm trying to protect you." "Protect me?" I stepped forward, my anger a controlled blaze. "You think I'm so weak I'd fall for your lies again? I'm not your stepping stone, Jason Carter." My words were deliberate, each reclaiming the power I'd lost in my past life. I saw him flinch, the warmth in his eyes replaced by something cold and threatening. "Emily, don't push it," he said, voice low. "The factory's already whispering. If you reject me, it'll only get worse." George moved before I could respond, his presence a wall between us. "Are you threatening my daughter?" His voice was a growl, years of authority behind it. "Can you waltz in here, manipulate my family, and walk away unscathed?" Jason stammered, his facade cracking. "Mr. Sanders, I'm just stating facts. Her reputation—" "Enough!" I cut him off, my voice ringing with finality. "I'm not the girl you can toy with, Jason. I'm Emily Sanders, and I'm worth more than your schemes." My heart raced, a mix of triumph and fear. Confronting him felt like shedding the naive girl I'd been, but his lingering gaze promised retaliation. George pointed to the door. "Get out, Carter, and stay away from my daughter, or you'll answer to me." Jason's jaw tightened, a flicker of viciousness in his eyes, but he turned and slunk out, the door slamming behind him. Sharon exhaled, pulling me into a hug. "Emily, you were so brave. But was that too harsh?" He might hold a grudge. Her worry was maternal, but her pride shone through. I squeezed her hand, forcing a smile. "He can try, Mom. I'm not afraid." But inside, I braced myself. Jason's defeat was temporary. He'd strike again, his ambition too desperate to quit. George clapped my shoulder, his gruff voice softening. "You did well, Emily. Keep that fire. It'll carry you far." His rare praise warmed me, a reminder of the family I'd almost lost in my past life. As I returned to my textbook, Jason's parting glare lingered in my mind, a warning of battles yet to come. Meaning showcases Jason's manipulation and Emily's defiant strength, escalating their conflict and solidifying her transformation. Dramatic appeal, the tense showdown with Emily's sharp rejection and George's protective fury, flips the power dynamic, thrilling readers with her empowered stand. October 1975, late at night in the Sanders home in a northeast China factory town. Emily grapples with the emotional toll of her rebirth, finding strength in her pain to forge a new path. The factory's distant hum mingled with the night's quiet as I sat by my bedroom window, the cool October air seeping through the cracked frame. A single oil lamp flickered on my desk, casting shadows across the open math textbook I'd neglected. My confrontation with Jason Carter hours ago replayed in my mind, his calculated proposal, my sharp rejection, the venom in his parting glare. I'd crumbled under his charm in my past life, a naive 19-year-old seduced by his city-bred promises. I'd stood my ground, reborn in 1975 with memories of betrayal, but the victory felt hollow. The weight of my second chance pressed against my chest, a gift laced with the pain of lessons hard learned. In that other life, during the Cultural Revolution's fervor, I'd been the factory director's daughter, sheltered yet restless in our industrial town. Jason, an educated youth exiled to labor in our fields to reform his urban ways, had seemed like a dream, a way out of the factory's monotony. I'd poured everything into him, my father's rare medicinal herbs, money borrowed behind my parents' backs, my heart. He'd used me to escape the countryside, securing a city transfer by 1977 through an engagement to a government official's daughter. The following gossip, Emily Sanders chasing a boy who didn't want her, had shattered my reputation. My father, George, confined me for 6 months, his disappointment heavier than any punishment. I missed the college entrance exams, and my dreams were buried under a lifetime as a factory worker. The regret of that life, the ache of lost potential, surged now, as vivid as the day I'd died. Tears welled as I stared at the starry sky, my reflection faint in the glass. How had I been reborn? A memory flickered, a dying wish in that past life, a desperate plea for a second chance whispered to the void. Something had answered, granting me this moment, this body, this opportunity. But with it came the scars of Jason's lies, the shame of gossip, the pain of disappointing my parents. My hands trembled, not from fear but from the raw intensity of feeling it all again. I'd loved him once, believed his vows by the river, only to be discarded like a worn tool. The betrayal cut deeper now, knowing I'd almost fallen for it again. Never again, I whispered, wiping my eyes. I'll be stronger. I opened my journal, a habit I'd started to anchor my reborn self. My pen scratched across the page. Jason thought he could trap me, but I saw through him. It felt good to say no, but why does my heart still race? I'm afraid, not of him, but of failing this chance. I have to make it right for Mom, Dad, and me. Writing grounded me, turning chaos into purpose. I closed the journal and picked up my textbook, The Equations a Lifeline. Math was steady and predictable, unlike the emotions swirling inside. I traced a quadratic formula, murmuring, "This is my path. College, economics, a future where a man does not define me." A soft knock interrupted me. Sharon, my mother, peeked in, her silhouette framed by the hallway's dim light. Her gentle, usually warm eyes were etched with concern, her graying hair tucked into a loose bun. "Emily, you're studying so late," she said, stepping inside. "You've been at it since that boy left. Don't push yourself too hard." Her voice, soft yet fierce, carried the love that had sustained me through my past life's failures. I smiled, setting down my pencil. "I'm okay, Mom. I want to be someone you're proud of." Sharon sat on the bed, her hands folding in her lap. "We're already proud, Emily. But today, the way you stood up to Jason and spoke to us, it's like you've grown years in a day." Her words warmed me, but they also stirred guilt. In my past life, I'd defied her, dismissing her warnings about Jason. Now I saw the toll it had taken, her sleepless nights, her quiet prayers for my safety. "I've been foolish," I said, my throat tight. "I didn't see how much I hurt you and Dad. I want to make it right, to study, to build a life that honors you." Her eyes glistened, and she reached for my hand, her touch warm and steady. "You're our only child, Emily. All we've ever wanted is for you to be happy and strong. This talk of college, economics, it's ambitious, but if it's what you want, we'll stand by you." She paused, a small smile breaking through. "Your father's already talking about finding your books, though he won't admit how excited he is." I laughed softly, picturing George, gruff and stoic, secretly beaming with pride. Sharon's faith and unwavering love reminded me of what I'd nearly lost. As she stood to leave, she glanced at the textbook. "Get some rest soon, all right? You've got a long road ahead." I nodded, promising, "I will, Mom." Alone again, I returned to my equations, but my thoughts drifted to the factory town beyond my window. In 1975, China was a land of flux, the Cultural Revolution's grip loosening, and rumors of reinstated college exams whispering through the compound. I knew from my past life that 1977 would bring the National College Entrance Exam, a chance to escape the factory's confines. Economics, a field poised to shape China's future reforms, was my goal, a way to contribute and prove myself. But Jason's threat lingered, his ambition a shadow over my plans. I pushed the fear aside, focusing on the numbers before me. This second chance was mine, and I'd fight for it no matter what he tried next. Meaning explores Emily's emotional depth, grounding her resolve in the pain and hope of her rebirth while reinforcing her commitment to her family and ambitions. Dramatic appeal, the introspective quiet, contrasted with Emily's raw emotions and Sharon's tender support, draws readers into her inner struggle, building anticipation for future conflicts. November 1975, in a northeast China factory town. Emily dives into her studies, facing the sting of community gossip, while her resolve strengthens against the backdrop of a changing China. The morning frost clung to the factory compound's cobblestones as I hunched over my desk, the faint glow of an oil lamp illuminating my worn textbooks. Math equations blurred before my eyes, but I pressed on, driven by the promise of the 1977 National College entrance exam. In my past life, I'd missed that chance, seduced by Jason Carter's lies and buried under gossip. Now, reborn in 1975, I was determined to rewrite my fate. The Cultural Revolution's grip was loosening, and whispers of reinstating college exams rippled through our town, a beacon of hope in a land scarred by political upheaval. I'd chosen economics as my goal, knowing from my past life that China's reforms would soon demand such expertise. Each page I turned was a step toward a future where I'd stand tall, free from the shadow of my mistakes. My bedroom door creaked open and my father, George Sanders, stepped in, his factory director's coat dusted with coal. His stern face softened at the sight of my books. "Still at it, Emily?" he asked, setting a stack of new study guides on my desk. "I found these through a contact in the county. Math, Chinese, English should keep you busy." His gruff voice held a rare pride, contrasting the disappointment I'd caused in my past life by chasing Jason. I smiled, touching the books. "Thanks, Dad. I'm serious about this. I want to make you proud." He nodded, his calloused hand briefly squeezing my shoulder. "You're on the right path. Keep it up and I'll get you a tutor next month." His support, hard-earned through years of navigating factory politics, was my anchor. Outside, the factory town buzzed with its usual rhythm, workers' shouts, the clank of machinery, but a current of gossip beneath it. My confrontation with Jason had spread like wildfire. At the market, I caught Aunt Lisa, a nosy neighbor with a sharp tongue, whispering to a group of women. "Emily Sanders, acting all studious now? I bet it's just to save face after Jason rejected her. A factory girl like her, aiming for college? Laughable." Her words stung, echoing the taunts of my past life when I'd been branded a fool for loving Jason. I clutched my basket, my resolve wavering under the weight of their judgment. Had I changed enough to prove them wrong? My best friend May appeared at my side, her round face flushed with indignation. "Don't listen to Lisa, Emily," she said, tossing her braid over her shoulder. "She's just jealous. You've changed. You're not that girl who mooned over Jason anymore." May, who'd grown up next door, was my constant since childhood, her loyalty a bright spot in the town's gray. In my past life, she'd stood by me even when I'd pushed her away for Jason. Now her faith bolstered me. "Thanks, May," I said, forcing a smile. "I'm trying. I want to get into Peking University and study economics." Her eyes widened. "Peking? That's huge! But you're working so hard, I bet you'll do it." Her enthusiasm was infectious, but doubt lingered. Could I outrun the town's skepticism? Back home, I poured myself into studying, the routine grounding me. Math was my strongest subject. Its logic was a refuge from the chaos of gossip. Chinese literature challenged me, but I memorized poems and was determined to excel. English, which is less familiar in our town, was a hurdle, but I practiced daily, knowing it would matter in a reforming China. George noticed my effort. His pride was evident despite his stoic nature. One evening, as I struggled with an English phrase, he sat across from me, his factory reports forgotten. "You're different, Emily," he said almost to himself. "I always hoped you'd be strong like your mother. Seeing you now, it's something." His words, rare and unguarded, warmed me but also pressed the weight of expectation. I couldn't let him down again. Sharon, my mother, joined us, her gentle smile contrasting George's gruffness. "You're pushing hard, Emily. Don't forget to eat," she said, sliding a plate of steamed buns my way. Her warmth had carried me through my past life's failures, and now it fueled my drive. "I'm fine, Mom," I said, biting into a bun. "I want to be ready when the exams come." She nodded, but worry lingered in her eyes. "People are talking, you know. They say you're only studying to hide from the Jason mess. I know it's not true, but—" Her voice trailed off, and I reached for her hand. "Let them talk, Mom. I'll prove them wrong." That night, alone, I journaled by lamplight. The gossip hurts like before. They see the old Emily, not who I'm becoming. But I won't stop. For Dad's pride, Mom's hope, for me. The words steadied me, but Jason's shadow loomed. His defeat at our house hadn't ended his schemes. I knew his ambition, his need to escape the countryside's toil. The factory compound, with its watchful eyes, felt like a battleground, each whisper a test of my resolve. I closed my journal, returning to my textbooks. The 1977 exams were my way out, my chance to redefine myself. No matter the gossip, I'd fight for that future, one equation, one word, one dream at a time. Meaning, establishes Emily's ambition and resilience against societal pressure, highlighting her academic drive and the community's skepticism while deepening her bond with her family in May. Dramatic appeal. The contrast between Emily's determined study and the town's biting gossip creates tension, with her family's support and May's loyalty adding warmth to her underdog struggle. December 1975, in a northeast China factory town. Jason Carter spreads malicious rumors to undermine Emily, but she turns the tables with strategic defiance, proving her strength. The winter chill seeped into the factory compound, frosting the windows of our home as I pored over my English textbook. The faint clatter of machinery outside constantly reminded me of the life I was determined to escape. In my past life, I'd been trapped here, my dreams crushed by Jason Carter's betrayal. Now, reborn in 1975, I studied relentlessly for the 1977 National College entrance exam, fueled by the knowledge that China's reforms would soon open new paths. Economics was my target, a field poised to shape the nation's future. But Jason's shadow lingered, his defeat at our house a month ago only a pause in his schemes. I knew his type, an educated youth exiled by the Cultural Revolution to labor in our fields, desperate to claw his way back to the city. My family's status was his leverage, and I braced for his next move. The rumors hit like a sudden storm. My mother, Sharon, set down her teacup at breakfast, her gentle face pale. "Emily, people are talking," she said, voice trembling. "They say you're too close to your tutor, Mr. Wang, that it's improper." My father George looked up from his factory reports, his brow furrowing. "Improper? Who's spreading this nonsense?" My heart sank. Mr. Wang, a young teacher from the county high school, had been tutoring me in math and English. His lessons were professional and rigorous. George had pulled strings to hire him, a rare privilege in our town. But I recognized the venom in this gossip, Jason's handiwork. In my past life, he'd used similar lies to isolate me, painting me as scandalous until I'd clung to him for protection. Not this time. "It's Jason," I said, my voice steady despite the anger simmering inside. "He's trying to ruin me again." Sharon's eyes widened, her hands twisting her apron. "That boy? After you sent him packing?" George's face darkened, his authority as factory director sharpening his gaze. "He's got nerve. But lies like this can stick, Emily. We need to stop it." I nodded, a plan forming. I'd cowered under such gossip in my past life, but Rebirth had taught me to fight back. "Dad, let's expose this publicly. If Mr. Wang is innocent, the truth will show." My resolve hid a flicker of fear. Gossip could linger, tainting my future. But I pushed it down, determined to outsmart Jason. The next morning, George and Sharon arranged a meeting at the factory courtyard, where workers gathered. I stood beside them, my chin high, as Mr. Wang arrived, his scholarly demeanor unruffled. A crowd formed their whispers, a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Aunt Lisa, the nosy neighbor, muttered loudly, "Let's see how the director's daughter explains this." My friend May, ever loyal, shot her a glare. "Keep quiet, Lisa. Emily's done nothing wrong." May's fiery support, her braids swinging as she stood by me, warmed my heart. In my past life, I'd pushed her away for Jason. Now her presence was a lifeline. George stepped forward, his voice carrying over the crowd. "There's talk about my daughter and her tutor, Mr. Wang. We're here to set it straight." Mr. Wang, barely 25, adjusted his glasses, his expression indignant. "The rumors are baseless," he said firmly. "My lessons with Emily are strictly professional, math and English for her college prep. These lies are slander, meant to harm her." His sincerity was palpable, with no trace of guilt in his steady gaze. I watched the crowd, noting their shifting expressions. A worker murmured, "He looked honest." Another added, "Sounds like someone's stirring trouble." I seized the moment, stepping forward. "I know who's behind this," I said, my voice clear and sharp. "Jason Carter, an educated youth, is spreading lies because I rejected him. He thinks he can break me, but I'm not that girl." The crowd stirred, some nodding, others whispering. May grinned, her eyes sparkling. "That's right, Emily. Show them!" Sharon squeezed my hand, her worry easing into pride. George's stern face softened, a flicker of admiration in his eyes. Aunt Lisa scoffed, but her voice was drowned out by a worker's comment. "Carter's jealous." "Emily's studying for college. Why drag her down?" The rumors began to unravel, the crowd's skepticism turning to Jason. Someone said he's got no proof, just a sore loser. As the gathering dispersed, May pulled me aside, her excitement bubbling. "You were terrific, Emily. Jason didn't see that coming." I smiled, but my heart was heavy. "Thanks, May. But he won't stop here." She nodded, her usual cheer sobering. "You're right. He's desperate to get back to the city. But you're smarter now." Her faith steadied me, a reminder of the friend I'd nearly lost in my past life. That night, I journaled by lamplight. Jason's lies hurt like they did before. I'm scared the gossip might stick, but today, I fought back. Mom's pride, Dad's trust, May's loyalty, they're my strength. I won't let him win. The words eased my tension, but fear lingered. 1975, a woman's reputation was fragile, especially in a small town. Jason's ambition, fueled by the era's uncertainty, made him dangerous. I closed my journal, returning to my English vocabulary. The exams were my escape, my chance to rise above the whispers. With my family and May behind me, I'd face whatever Jason threw next, my resolve forged in the fire of a second chance. Meaning, showcases Emily's strategic growth and resilience in countering Jason's slander, highlighting the community's shifting perception and her deepening bonds with family and May. Dramatic appeal, the public showdown, Emily's bold accusation, and the crowd's turning tide deliver a satisfying victory, tempered by her private fears and the warmth of her allies' support. January 1976, in a northeast China factory town. Jason Carter flaunts his engagement to Lisa Lee to provoke Emily, but her indifference reveals her strength, masking a lingering pain. Snow blanketed the factory compound, muffling the clang of machinery as I hung laundry in our yard, my breath visible in the biting cold. My studies for the 1977 National College entrance exam consumed my days. Math, Chinese, English, each subject a brick in the future I was building. I'd lost that chance in my past life, ensnared by Jason Carter's lies. Now, reborn in 1975, I was free of his hold, my resolve forged in the crucible of betrayal. The Cultural Revolution's chaos still lingered, with educated youths like Jason laboring in our fields to reform their urban ways. But whispers of change, reforms, exams, stirred hope. I aimed for economics, knowing China's future would hinge on such knowledge. Yet, Jason's recent rumors about my tutor, Mr. Wang, had shaken me, though I'd quashed them publicly. His silence since then was ominous, a calm before a storm. Footsteps crunched behind me, and I turned to see Jason approaching, his mousesuit crisp despite the snow. Beside him stood a young woman, her expensive wool coat and stylish scarf marking her as an outsider. Her sharp features twisted in a sneer as she looked me up and down. Jason's eyes gleamed with smug triumph. "Emily, meet Lisa Lee," he said, voice dripping with intent. "My fiancée. We're getting engaged next month." Lisa tilted her head, her voice cutting. "So, this is the factory girl?" "Jason, your taste was abysmal." The words were meant to wound, and for a moment they did, stirring memories of my past life when Jason's betrayal humiliated me. Lisa was the county secretary's daughter, and her family's power contrasted with our factory town's grit. In my past life, Jason had pursued her after discarding me, drawn to her connections. Their engagement had collapsed. Lisa's lavish spending and her father's later arrest for embezzlement ensured it. Standing before them, I saw Jason's game. Flaunt Lisa to make me jealous, to break my resolve. My heart ached, not for him, but for the naive girl I'd been, who'd loved him unquestioningly. I buried the pain, forcing a smile. "Congratulations," I said lightly, pinning a shirt to the line. "May you have many children." Jason froze, his smugness faltering. Lisa's smirk wavered, clearly expecting tears or desperation. "You're not upset?" she taunted, stepping closer. Jason's moved on to someone worthy. You should know your place. Her contempt echoed the gossip of my past life, but I was no longer that girl. "I wish you both happiness," I replied, my voice steady, though my hands trembled slightly. "You seem well suited." Jason's jaw tightened, a flash of frustration in his eyes. He'd wanted a reaction, proof I still cared. My indifference was a blow he hadn't anticipated. Lisa huffed, grabbing Jason's arm. "Let's go, Jason. Talking to her makes me feel dirty." As they turned to leave, Jason shot me a lingering glance, a mix of anger and disbelief. I resumed hanging laundry, my calm a shield, but inside a storm raged. The pain of his past betrayal, his promises by the river, his abandonment, resurfaced, raw and sharp. I'd loved him once, and that ghost of feeling haunted me, even now, but I wouldn't let it win. I whispered to myself, "He's nothing to me," the words a mantra to steady my heart. May, my best friend, appeared from the house, her round face flushed from the cold. She'd watched the exchange from the window, her loyalty unwavering since our childhood. "Emily, you were ice cold," she said, eyes wide with admiration. "Jason thought he'd make you cry, but you shut him down." Her braid swung as she mimicked Lisa's sneer, making me laugh despite myself. "Thanks, May," I said, my voice softer. But it wasn't easy. She sobered, touching my arm. "You okay? I know you used to feel something for him." I hesitated, the weight of my past life pressing down. May deserved honesty. She'd stood by me when I pushed her away for Jason. "It hurts, May," I admitted, my gaze on the snow. "Not because I want him, but because I remember who I was. Foolish, blind. I'm scared I'll slip back into that." Her eyes softened and she hugged me, her warmth grounding. "You're not that girl anymore, Emily. You're aiming for Peking University for economics. Jason's just a nobody now." Her faith, fierce and unyielding, lifted me. "You're right," I said, managing a smile. "They won't last. Lisa's too spoiled, and Jason's too greedy." That night I journaled by lamplight. Jason's engagement stung, not for love but for the girl I was. His games can't touch me now, but I'm still afraid, of failing, of proving the town right. May's belief, Mom's hope, Dad's pride, they keep me going. The words eased the ache, but Jason's ploy lingered in my mind. In 1976, status was everything, and Lisa's family offered him a path to the city. But I knew their downfall was coming, just as I knew my path, through study, through resolve, would lead me higher. I opened my math textbook, and the equations were a refuge. The exams were my battleground, and I'd fight for my future, no matter how Jason tried to pull me back. Meaning highlights Emily's foresight and emotional resilience in the face of Jason's provocation, deepening her bond with May and revealing the lingering pain of her past. Dramatic appeal. Emily's calm indifference to Jason's taunt, paired with her private vulnerability and May's vibrant support, creates a compelling mix of triumph and emotional depth, keeping readers invested. March 1976 in a northeast China factory town. Jason Carter's engagement crumbles, and his desperate attempt to reclaim Emily fails while she channels her pain into her studies. The early spring air carried a damp chill as I sat at my desk, the factory's hum a faint pulse beyond my window. My math, Chinese, and English textbooks were spread out, each page a step toward the 1977 National College Entrance Exam. I'd lost that chance in my past life, betrayed by Jason Carter's schemes. Now, reborn in 1975, I was determined to rise above, aiming for Peking University's economics department, a field I knew would shape China's reforming future. The Cultural Revolution's grip was fading, and the promise of reinstated exams stirred hope in our town. But Jason's recent ploy, flaunting his engagement to Lisa Lee, had stirred old wounds. Though I'd dismissed him with icy calm, the ghost of my past love lingered, a quiet ache I buried in study. The news broke like a sudden thaw. My best friend May burst into our yard, her braids swinging, eyes wide with excitement. "Emily, you were right," she exclaimed, breathless. "Jason and Lisa had a huge fight." She scratched his face over money, called him a broke loser in front of everyone at the market. May's vibrant energy, her knack for gossip, lit up the gray morning. In my past life, I'd pushed her away for Jason, a mistake I'd never repeat. Now her loyalty was my strength. I set down my laundry, a smile tugging at my lips. "What happened?" I asked, though I'd foreseen it. Lisa, the county secretary's daughter, was spoiled and spending was unchecked. Jason, despite his charming facade, was petty and greedy. Their engagement, a ladder for his city ambitions, was doomed. May said she bought a fancy coat with Jason's work points, mimicking Lisa's haughty tone. He lost it, and she humiliated him in public. "They're done!" I laughed, a mix of satisfaction and relief. In my past life, their breakup had come later, after Lisa's father was arrested for embezzlement. Now, Jason's fall was swift, his pride shattered. But I knew he wouldn't stop. His desperation to escape the countryside, a relic of the Cultural Revolution's youth policy, would drive him back to me, his backup plan. Sure enough, that evening he appeared at our gate, his face marred with faint scratches, eyes dark with defeat. "Emily," he croaked, voice trembling, "I need to talk." His mouth-suit was rumpled, a far cry from his usual polish. I stood in the yard, my textbook in hand, heart pounding. "There's nothing to say, Jason," I said, voice cold. He stepped closer, desperation in his gaze. "I was wrong about Lisa. I love you, Emily. I always have." The words echoed my past life when I'd fallen for his apologies, only to be betrayed. Now they sparked only anger. "Love?" I scoffed, stepping back. "Do you think I'm your fallback? You used me before, and now you're crawling back because Lisa dumped you. What am I to you, Jason? A safety net?" His face was twisted, and shame and fury were warring. "That's not true. I made a mistake, but I—" He pulled a folded letter from his pocket, his voice dropping to a growl. "This is your love letter from last year. I'll post it everywhere if you don't give me a chance." My breath caught the memory of that letter, a naive outpouring from my past life, stinging like a fresh wound. For a moment, fear flickered. In 1976, a woman's reputation was fragile, and such a letter could reignite gossip. But I'd faced worse. I straightened, meeting his eyes. "Go ahead," I said, my voice steady. "Post it. My dad runs this factory. Who do you think they'll believe, a disgraced youth or me?" Jason flinched, the letter trembling in his hand. "You've changed," he muttered, almost to himself. "You're not the Emily I knew." "Good," I shot back. "That Emily's gone. Get lost, Jason, and don't come back." He stood frozen, turned, shoulders slumped, and vanished into the dusk. As he left, a weight lifted, but the pain lingered. I'd loved him once, and rejecting him now, though necessary, hurt. I retreated to my room and opened my journal. Jason's threats returned the old fear, but I stood my ground. It hurts to remember who I was. But Mom, Dad, May, they believe in me. I'll keep fighting for them, for my future. Sharon found me later, her gentle face etched with concern. "I heard Jason was here," she said, sitting on my bed. "Are you all right?" Her warmth, a constant through my past life's failures, soothed me. "I'm fine, Mom," I said, managing a smile. "He tried to scare me, but I didn't let him." She nodded, pride in her eyes. "You're stronger than I ever was, Emily. Your father's proud too, though he won't say it." George, passing by, grunted, "Keep studying. That boy's no match for you." Their faith fueled me, but Jason's desperation lingered in my mind. He'd lost Lisa, his reputation, his city dreams. He'd try again in this era where status was a lifeline. I returned to my textbooks, the equations a shield against fear, and my resolve steeled for the battles ahead, meaning Mark's Jason's downfall and Emily's emotional and strategic triumph, consolidating his schemes and deepening her resilience through pain and family support. Dramatic appeal, Jason's desperate plea, and Emily's fierce rejection deliver catharsis, balanced by her introspective vulnerability and the warmth of Sharon and May's support, keeping readers engaged. October 1977, in a Northeast China factory town. Emily Sanders faces the National College Entrance Exam, her 2 years of relentless preparation culminating in a triumphant victory. The autumn leaves crunched underfoot as I walked to the exam center, my breath steady despite the weight of anticipation. October 1977 marked the return of the National College Entrance Exam, a historic moment after a decade's pause under the Cultural Revolution. In my past life, I'd missed this chance, trapped by Jason Carter's betrayal and my naivety. Now, reborn in 1975, I'd spent 2 years preparing, waking at 5 a.m., studying until 11 p.m., pouring my heart into math, Chinese, English, and politics. My goal was Peking University's economics department, a field I knew from my past life would drive China's looming reforms. The factory town buzzed with excitement, young and old, dreaming of new futures, but for me, this was redemption, a chance to rewrite the life I'd lost. My parents, George and Sharon Sanders, walked beside me, their presence a quiet strength. George, the factory director, adjusted his coat, his stern face softened by pride. "Just do your best, Emily," he said, his voice gruff but warm. "You've worked harder than anyone." Sharon clutched my arm, her gentle eyes glistening. We're so proud, no matter what. Their faith, forged through my past life's failures and my reborn resolve, steadied me. In 1975, I'd vowed to make them proud, and now every equation memorized, every poem recited, was for them as much as for me. My best friend May had waved me off earlier, her cheerful grin infectious. You'll ace it, Emily. Show them what you're made of. Her loyalty, unwavering since childhood, was my anchor. The exam room was a sea of nervous energy, candidates clutching pencils, their faces a mix of hope and fear. I found my seat, the weight of 2 years' effort settling like a mantle. The first Chinese exam began, and relief washed over me. The questions were familiar, and my practice paid off. I wrote with precision, my handwriting neat, and each answer was a testament to my preparation. Math followed, my strongest subject, and the problems flowed naturally under my pen. English and politics tested my focus, but I tackled them methodically, checking each answer twice. The 3 days passed in a blur, each subject a battle I was ready to win. Stepping out of the final exam, I exhaled, a grin breaking free. It's done! I shouted to the sky, releasing 2 years of tension. George and Sharon waited outside, their faces anxious. How was it? Sharon asked, her voice eager. Better than I hoped, I replied, hugging her. I did well. George clapped my shoulder, a rare smile cracking his stern facade. That's my girl. Their pride was a balm, soothing the scars of my past life when I'd disappointed them. Back home, May rushed over her braid swinging. Tell me everything, she demanded, eyes bright. I laughed, recounting the exams, her excitement mirroring mine. You're going to Peking, I know it, she said, hugging me tightly. Like my parents, her belief fueled my hope, though a flicker of doubt remained. Had I done enough? Weeks later, the day of the results arrived, and the factory compound was alive with anticipation. George and Sharon accompanied me to the announcement board, a crowd already gathered, some cheering, others silent in defeat. My heart raced as I pushed through, scanning the list. First place wasn't me, nor second. My stomach sank, memories of past failure creeping in. Then in 8th place, Emily Sanders, 467 points. I stared, disbelief giving way to joy. 8th in the county, a score that guaranteed a top university. I did it, I shouted, turning to my parents. Sharon's eyes filled with tears, and George, usually stoic, hugged me. 8th in the county, he repeated, voice thick. You're something, Emily. The crowd erupted, workers and neighbors congratulating us. Director Sanders, your daughter's a star, one called. 467 points, that's the highest we've seen, another added. May pushed through, grinning. I told you, Emily, Peking's yours. Her pride was infectious, but whispers about Jason Carter reached me. Heard Carter bombed, a worker said. Handed in a blank math paper. There is no college for him. In my past life, he'd failed too, relying on connections to escape. With Lisa Lee gone and his schemes exposed, he was stuck. The contrast, my triumph, his failure, was justice, yet it stirred a pang of pity, quickly buried. He'd made his choices. That night I journaled. The exams were my battle, and I won. Mom's tears, Dad's hug, May's cheers. They're my victory too. Jason's fall feels right, but I'm not done. Peking awaits. The words anchored me, but the weight of success brought new fears. Could I thrive in Beijing? I pushed the doubt aside, focusing on my parents' pride and May's faith. In 1977, China was changing, and I was ready to shape its future, one step closer to the life I'd dreamed of. Meaning celebrates Emily's academic triumph, contrasting her success with Jason's failure, highlighting her emotional journey and community support. Dramatic appeal. The high-stakes exam, Emily's triumphant score, and the community's admiration deliver exhilaration, tempered by her introspective doubts and the warmth of family and May's support. September 1978, Peking University, Beijing. Emily Sanders navigates the challenges of university life, her ambition tested but strengthened by new obstacles and friendships. The golden plane trees of Peking University shimmered in the September light, their leaves casting dappled shadows across the campus paths. I dragged my suitcase through the gates, my heart racing with awe and nerves. In my past life, I'd only seen this place on a grainy TV screen, a dream lost to Jason Carter's betrayal. Now, reborn and fresh from my 1977 exam triumph, 467 points, 8th in my county, I was here, a freshman in the economics department. China was stirring in 1978, the Cultural Revolution fading as reforms hinted at a new era. My choice of economics was deliberate, rooted in my past life knowledge of the opportunities awaiting in a transforming nation. But doubt crept in as I stepped into this world of towering intellects. Could a factory director's daughter from a northeast town measure up? The girls' dormitory buzzed with introductions as I unpacked. My roommate, Wendy, a bubbly Beijing native with a quick smile, tossed her braid and offered me a steamed bun. "Emily, where are you from?" she asked, eyes curious. "A small factory town in the northeast," I admitted, bracing for judgment. Her grin widened. "That's amazing. Most of us are city kids. You must have worked like crazy to get here." Her warmth eased my nerves, starkly contrasting the isolation I'd feared. In my past life, I'd had no one like her. Now, Wendy's friendship felt like a gift. Classes began, and the rigor hit hard. The political economy fascinated me, and its concepts aligned with my vision of China's future, but linear algebra was a beast. The equations twisted my mind, each problem a reminder of my small-town roots. One evening, I stared at a problem set, frustration mounting. "I'm not cut out for this," I muttered, shoving the book away. Wendy sprawled on her bed and looked up. "You're tougher than that, Emily. You got into Peking, didn't you?" Her encouragement and struggles, she admitted math terrified her, pushed me to continue. We studied late, her laughter breaking the tension as I explained derivatives, our bond growing through shared battles. Socially, I felt out of place. Many classmates hail from Beijing or Shanghai, and their urban upbringing polishes their confidence. The chair, a bespectacled professor, spoke with gravitas. "You're the first class since the exams returned. Economics will shape China's reforms. Study diligently." His words thrilled me, but at a dorm gathering, a Shanghai girl's comment stung. "A country girl in economics? That's bold." I smiled tightly, hiding the hurt. Later, I journaled. "Their doubts echo the factory gossip. I'm scared I'll fail, but I won't let them see it. Wendy's faith, my family's pride, I'll prove I belong." To ground myself, I sought practical experience. I landed a summer internship at a Beijing trading firm, a rare opportunity in 1978. Sorting ledgers and observing deals taught me how economics worked beyond textbooks, fueling my ambition for Shenzhen's special economic zone, a future hub I knew from my past life. Back at school, I dove into classics like Wealth of Nations, their dense theories a challenge I embraced. Wendy, catching me reading late, teased Emily, "You're a machine! Why these old books?" I grinned. They're the foundation of what's coming. China's opening up. We'll need this knowledge. She shook her head, half convinced, but joined me in the library, her chatter a lifeline. My parents' letters kept me tethered to home. Sharon wrote of the factory's pride. "They're still talking about your score, Emily. You've made us famous," George added. "Keep studying. You're carrying our hopes." Their words warmed me, but the pressure weighed heavy. One night, struggling with probability theory, I nearly broke. Wendy found me, head in hand. "You're not alone, Emily," she said, her voice firm. "Let's tackle it together." Her support, like May's back home, reminded me I wasn't the lonely girl of my past life. I taught her probability, and her gratitude eased my doubts. By spring, I'd found my rhythm, excelling in math and English, my small-town grit surprising classmates. At a class discussion, I answered a professor's question on resource allocation, earning his nod. "Well said, Emily." Wendy cheered later. "You're a star." I laughed, but inside I felt the shift. I belonged. My journal captured it. Linear algebra nearly broke me, but I'm stronger now. Wendy's my rock, and Shenzhen's my dream. I'm ready for what's next. In 1978, China was awakening, and I was growing with it. My past life's regrets fading with each step toward a boundless future. Meaning, showcases. Emily's resilience amid university challenges, deepening her bond with Wendy and her ambition for Shenzhen while reflecting her emotional growth. Dramatic appeal. The mix of academic struggles, social hurdles, and small victories, paired with Wendy's vibrant support, creates a compelling narrative of growth and determination. June 1981, Peking University, Beijing. Emily Sanders reflects on her journey, learns of Jason Carter's final fate, and embraces her future in Shenzhen, finding peace beyond her past. The summer breeze rustled the plane trees of Peking University, their golden leaves a vibrant contrast to the gray factory town I'd left behind. In my third year, I stood on the cusp of graduation, my heart full of anticipation and quiet pride. In my past life, I'd been trapped by Jason Carter's betrayal, my dreams buried in a Northeast factory. Now, reborn since 1975, I'd transformed. My 467-point exam score had earned me a place in the economics department, where I'd thrived despite challenges. China was changing too. Its 1978 reforms were unfolding, and special economic zones like Shenzhen were promising opportunities. I'd chosen Shenzhen for my post-graduation path, a bold move rooted in my past life knowledge of its meteoric rise. But as I walked the campus paths, a letter from home stirred memories I thought I'd buried. When I opened my father's letter, my dorm room was cluttered with books, Wealth of Nations, finance notes, and my journal. George's steady handwriting grounded me. Emily, the factory's still buzzing about your success. You've made us proud. Sharon added a note. We miss you, but know you're shining. Then, a line about Jason. He's back in the city working a low-end factory job. He talks of regret and says he wasted his youth chasing girls. Too late now. I set the letter down, a swirl of emotions rising. Jason's schemes, his manipulative proposal, rumors, and engagement to Lisa Lee, had once threatened to derail me. His failure in the 1977 exams, while I soared, was justice. Yet reading of his regret, I felt a pang, not of pity, but of finality. I walked to the campus lake, its calm surface reflecting the evening sky. Sitting on a bench, I let the memories flood back. In my past life, Jason's betrayal had broken me. His lies about love, his abandonment of a government official's daughter, and the gossip that ruined my reputation. I'd loved him, a naive girl blind to his ambition to escape the Cultural Revolution's rural exile. Now, reborn, I'd outwitted him, reclaiming my future, but the scars remained. I journaled. Jason's regret means nothing now, but it stirs the old hurt. I'm free, yet part of me fears I'll carry him forever. No, I've risen too far. Shenzhen's my future, not him. The words released a weight, my past life's pain dissolving like mist. My roommate Wendy found me by the lake, her bubbly presence a balm. Deep in thought, Emily? She teased, tossing her braid and missing home. I smiled at her warmth, starkly contrasting my past life's isolation. I said I was reading a letter from Dad and sending it to her. She scanned it, whistling. Jason Carter, huh? Sounds like he's hit rock bottom. You dodged a bullet. Her bluntness made me laugh, but I nodded. He's nothing to me now. I just needed to let it go. Wendy's eyes softened. You have. Look at you, a top student headed to Shenzhen. You're unstoppable. Her faith, like May's back home, anchored me. I wrote to May that night, my childhood friend whose loyalty had sustained me. May, I'm free now. Jason's out of my life, stuck in a dead-end job. I'm heading to Shenzhen, a new start. May's letters, full of factory gossip and her dreams of teaching, had kept me tethered to home. She'd cheered my exam triumph and defended me against Jason's lies. Knowing she'd celebrate this closure warmed me. My parents, too, had been my rock. George's gruff pride, Sharon's gentle hope. Their support had carried me through Peking's challenges, from linear algebra struggles to social doubts as a small-town girl. I'd proven myself, not just to them, but to myself. My advisor, Professor Lee, called me to his office days later. Shenzhen? He asked, brow raised. It's a fishing village, Emily. With your grades, you could stay in Beijing. I shook my head, my past life foresight clear. Shenzhen's a special economic zone, sir. It'll be a hub of opportunity. He frowned but relented. You're determined. I respect that. Just don't forget you're a Peking graduate. His words echoed my resolve. Shenzhen, in 1981, was a gamble, but I knew its future, a metropolis of innovation. I'd interned at a Beijing firm, learning real-world economics, and studied finance and marketing, preparing for this moment. As I packed for graduation, I reflected on Jason's fate. He'd returned to the city, but without a degree, his dreams of grandeur were dust. In my past life, he'd belittled me, saying I was nothing without my father. I'd surpassed him, my path forged by grit and knowledge. The resentment I'd carried faded. Not forgiveness, but indifference. He was a shadow, irrelevant to the woman I'd become. I journaled one last time. Jason's gone, a footnote in my story. Mom, Dad, May, Wendy, they're my strength. Shenzhen's calling, and I'm ready to build something extraordinary. Closing the journal, I felt peace, my past life's chains broken, my future bright with possibility. Meaning, provides closure on Jason's arc and Emily's emotional liberation, highlighting her readiness for Shenzhen and the strength drawn from her supporters. Dramatic appeal. The quiet reflection on Jason's fate, paired with Emily's emotional release and Wendy's vibrant support, creates a poignant climax, setting the stage for her bold future. June 1982, Shenzhen, China. Emily Sanders steps into a new life, leaving her past behind to seize the boundless possibilities of a transforming nation. The train's rhythmic clatter echoed my heartbeat as I gazed out the window, Shenzhen's dusty skyline emerging through the dawn. In June 1982, this former fishing village pulsed with the promise of China's economic reforms, its special economic zone status drawing dreamers and builders. In my past life, I'd been confined to a Northeast factory, my ambitions crushed by Jason Carter's betrayal. Now reborn since 1975, I'd transformed. My 467-point triumph in the 1977 National College Entrance Exam had led me to Peking University's economics department, where I'd thrived through challenges. Shenzhen was my next step, a bold choice rooted in my past life knowledge of its rise to a global metropolis. As the train slowed, I clutched my suitcase, a mix of excitement and nerves swirling within. Peking University had been a crucible. Linear algebra had tested my resolve, and as a small-town girl, I'd faced social doubts among city-bred classmates. Yet, I'd excelled, mastering economics, finance, and marketing, and interned at a Beijing firm to ground theory and practice. My roommate Wendy had been my rock, her bubbly encouragement pulling me through late-night study sessions. "You're a star, Emily," she'd said at graduation, tears in her eyes. "Shenzhen won't know what hit it." My parents, George and Sharon, had sent pride letters. "You've made the factory famous, Emily. Build something great." Back home, my friend May had cheered via letters her dreams of teaching a mirror to my ambitions. Their faith carried me now as I stepped onto Shenzhen's platform. The air was humid, thick with the scent of construction dust and opportunity. Shenzhen, in 1982, was a sprawl of cranes and half-built towers, starkly contrasting Beijing's ancient grandeur. China's reforms, launched in 1978, were reshaping the nation, and Shenzhen was the frontier, a place where bold ideas could flourish. I'd chosen a job at a fledgling trading company, leveraging my internship experience. My past life foresight told me this city would boom, and I wanted to be part of it, maybe start a business, maybe shape the future. But doubts lingered. Could I, a factory director's daughter, thrive in this chaotic new world? I pushed the fear aside, and my resolve hardened by years of overcoming. At the company office, a modest building amid construction sites, my new boss, Mr. Chen, greeted me. "Emily Sanders, from Peking University?" he asked, scanning my resume. "Impressive. We need sharp minds here." His gruff approval echoed my father's, grounding me. I dove into work, analyzing trade data and learning Shenzhen's fast-paced rhythm. The city's energy was infectious. Merchants, investors, and workers all chasing dreams in a nation awakening from the Cultural Revolution's shadow. Yet, challenges loomed. In my first week, a miscalculation in a report earned a sharp rebuke from Mr. Chen. "Accuracy matters, Emily," he said. I nodded, heart sinking, but stayed late to fix it, my Peking-honed grit kicking in. Wendy's parting words echoed. "You'll be a CEO someday, Emily." I smiled, walking Shenzhen's bustling streets after work. The city's raw potential mirrored my own, a blank canvas for ambition. I wrote to May. "Shenzhen's alive, May. It's tough, but I'm learning fast. I'll make you all proud." Her reply arrived weeks later. "You're already a legend, Emily. Keep shining." My parents wrote, too, that George's pride is evident. "You're in the heart of change, Emily. Don't let it overwhelm you." Sharon added, "We're with you, always." Their words were a lifeline, tethering me to the family and friends who'd seen me through my rebirth. One evening, I climbed a hill overlooking Shenzhen, the city's lights flickering like stars. I reflected on my journey, Jason's betrayal, his lies and schemes, once defined me. His final fate, a dead-end factory job, was a distant echo, irrelevant to the woman I'd become. I journaled under the stars. The past is gone. Jason, the factory, my old fears. they're shadows. Shenzhen's my canvas, and I'll paint it with everything I've learned. The words freed me, my past life's chains fully broken. I'd faced academic struggles, social doubts, and Jason's ploys, emerging stronger each time. Now, I was ready to build a career, a legacy, a life. As I descended the hill, Shenzhen's skyline glowed, a testament to possibility. "Hello, Shenzhen," I whispered, heart racing. "This is my life now." The road ahead would be tough, competition fierce, mistakes inevitable, but I was no longer the naive girl of my past. I'd create something extraordinary with my family's pride, Wendy's faith, May's cheers, and my resilience. China was rising, and so was I, ready to seize the endless possibilities of this new beginning. Meaning, this completes Emily's arc with her bold arrival in Shenzhen, where she embraces a future shaped by her resilience and foresight while reflecting on her growth beyond her past. Dramatic appeal, the hopeful, open-ended finale, blending Shenzhen's vibrant energy with Emily's emotional reflection and supportive connections, inspires readers with a triumphant close.